How your body punishes you for ignoring your emotions. Dr. Carl Jung, there's something no one ever told you, but deep down your soul has always known it. The way you've been living, the way you've been surviving, is actually hurting you. The anxiety, the constant overthinking, the exhaustion that doesn't go away. This isn't random, this isn't your fault, and it's not who you really are. Carl Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And now, your body, your mind, your emotions are screaming for one thing, for you to finally come back home here to yourself. Let me ask you something, and be radically honest with yourself. Have you ever felt like, no matter how much you try, you never feel enough? Like you have to work so hard just to be loved, to be accepted, to feel safe? Or maybe you became the strong one, the helper, the fixer, the one who holds it all together for everyone else, while silently falling apart inside. That's not your personality. It's your nervous system stuck in survival mode. It's the wound of your inner child that was never allowed to heal. Carl Jung knew this. He taught that the wounds we refuse to look at become the architects of our suffering. And here's the truth no one told you. The pain you carry is not a flaw, it's a message, a sacred invitation to finally stop abandoning yourself and begin the journey back to wholeness. And I want to hear from you right now. Did anyone ever teach you how to actually heal? Or were you, like most of us, taught to survive by suppressing your emotions, disconnecting from your truth, and pretending you were okay when you weren't? Tell me in the comments. Let it be your declaration. Let it be the first step of your healing, because when you write it, something begins to shift inside. And if you're ready to go even deeper, I've created a powerful guide designed to help you reconnect with your inner child, release the emotional blocks, and finally, create the life your soul has been longing for. You'll find the link in the description. And one more thing, but if this resonates with your soul, if you believe healing matters, if you know this is the time to finally come home to yourself, hit that subscribe button. This space is a sanctuary for healing, for transformation, and for remembering the truth of who you are. Because your inner child, your true self, was never meant to be forgotten. Imagine this. A child sits quietly in the corner of a room. Not because they're calm, but because somewhere along the way they learned that being small, being invisible, was safer. That child is you, not the grown-up version you show to the world. Not the version that's successful, capable, or resilient, but the part of you that never got the chance to fully grow. The part that was forced to survive when all it ever wanted was to be loved. You see, Carl Jung taught us something that most of the world still refuses to understand. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Think about that. All the patterns that break your heart, the way you choose people who don't choose you back, the way you silence your truth just to be accepted, the way you hold the weight of everyone else, but collapse when it's time to hold yourself. None of it is coincidence, none of it is weakness. It's the echo of a wound that was never your fault, but became your responsibility to heal. Because when you were small, when you cried, maybe no one came. When you were scared, maybe no one noticed. When you needed to be held, maybe you were told, stop being dramatic. Or worse, you were taught that your needs were inconvenient, and so little by little, you stopped asking for help. You stopped expressing your needs. You became the good one, the quiet one, the strong one. But here's the truth most people never tell you. That wasn't you, that was survival. And survival comes at a cost. Carl Jung called this the disconnection from the self, the split. The moment you learned that being who you truly are was somehow dangerous. And from that moment on, life wasn't about thriving. It was about avoiding abandonment, avoiding rejection, avoiding pain. So maybe now, as an adult, you wonder why. You overthink everything. You feel anxious when things are calm because peace feels unfamiliar. You stay in relationships that drain you because loneliness feels unbearable. You work until you burn out because rest feels unsafe. This isn't a flaw. It's your nervous systems, you still operating from childhood. It's your inner child, still waiting for someone to come back for them, still waiting for someone to say, I see you, I hear you. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. But no one taught you how to do that, did they? They told you to be strong, to get over it, to focus on gratitude, to hustle, to achieve, to distract. But none of that ever truly worked. Did it? Because the pain didn't live in your mind. It lived in your body, in your nervous system, in the silent parts of your soul that you were forced to abandon just to survive. And that's why you're here. Because your soul knows. It's time. It's time to stop running from yourself. It's time to stop abandoning the child within you. It's time to stop believing that your worth is something you have to earn and to prove, or beg for. Carl Jung believed that the purpose of life wasn't to become someone else. It was to remember who you truly are, beneath the wounds, beneath the masks, beneath the survival strategies. And that's the work we're doing here. Today, not through shame, not through blame, not through forcing yourself to get over it, but through something sacred, something few people are ever taught: radical self-compassion, nervous system repair, emotional reparenting, and the spiritual remembrance that you were never broken, only disconnected. So, stay with me. Stay until the end. Because once you see this, you can't unsee it. Once you understand the hidden truth behind your pattern, your pain, your exhaustion, your people-pleasing, your burnout, you begin the process of coming home, not to the version of you the world demanded, but to the version that was always there, whole, worthy, enough, waiting patiently for you. The unseen wound, how your childhood still lives in your body. You ever wonder why? Even when life seems calm, your heart still races at night. Why you wake up tired, like you fought a war in your sleep. Why small things feel overwhelming, and why sometimes you feel like you're on the verge of tears for no reason at all. Carl Jung had a name for this: the shadow, the parts of ourselves we bury, ignore, and suppress, because facing them would mean revisiting the pain we've spent a lifetime running from. But the thing about shadows is that they never stay hidden forever. They show up in your anxiety, in your people-pleasing, in your chronic fatigue, in the tension in your shoulders, in the tightness in your chest whenever someone raises their voice. They show up when you're scrolling late at night, looking for something to fill the emptiness. They show up in the way you sabotage good relationships, push love away, or chase after people who don't really want to stay. And here's the most heartbreaking part. Most of us think we're just broken, that we're lazy, weak, overly sensitive, dramatic. But Carl Jung's work reminds us, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. That frustration you feel toward your partner, that irritation with your friends, that exhaustion from life itself, they're mirrors, reflections of the parts of you, still waiting to be healed. Let's get real for a second. You learned to suppress your feelings, not because you were flawed, but because it was how you survived. Maybe you had parents who loved you, but didn't know how to show it. Maybe you grew up in a home where feelings were labeled as weakness. Maybe you heard phrases like, "Stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about. Be strong. Don't be so sensitive." So you did what every emotionally intelligent child does. You adapted. You became what the environment demanded. You became quiet, or funny, or perfect, or invisible. And that's the tragedy of childhood trauma. It forces you to abandon yourself just to stay attached to the people you depended on for survival. Jung called this the wounded child archetype, an unconscious force that shapes your beliefs, behaviors, and emotional responses long after the original wound was inflicted. So when you're an adult and you feel this overwhelming need to be liked, when you can't say no, when your body screams with anxiety after setting a boundary, it's not because you're weak. It's because somewhere deep inside, your inner child still fears that love is conditional, that love depends on being easy, agreeable, non-demanding. But here's what no one told you back then. Love isn't earned by shrinking yourself. Safety isn't achieved by silencing your truth, and healing doesn't happen by ignoring the signals your body keeps sending. Because yes, your body remembers. The migraines, the back pain, the IBS, the panic attacks at 3 a.m. when everything feels too heavy. This isn't random. This is your nervous system still living in survival mode. Carl Jung believed that until we make our unconscious patterns conscious, they will control our lives and we'll keep calling it fate. So let me ask you something real, and I want you to answer this in the comments. Have you ever found yourself reacting too strongly to something small and deep down knowing this reaction isn't even about this moment? Have you ever felt exhausted, not because you did too much, but because you spent the whole day suppressing how you really felt? Have you noticed that the relationships you attract often mirror the wounds you're still carrying? If any of this resonates, write "I feel this" in the comments right now. Let's open space here for real conversations, for healing, for honesty, because the truth is, you're not broken. You're not too much, you're not lazy or dramatic. You're someone who adapted, you're someone who survived, you're someone whose body, mind, and soul are just begging you to come home, and that's what this video is about. This is not another motivational pep talk. This is about dismantling the walls you built around your heart, brick by brick, breath by breath, because the pain you've been avoiding is the same pain that's waiting to be healed. And no, it's not going to happen overnight. And no, it won't always feel comfortable. But every time you choose to pause, to breathe, to notice your reactions instead of judging them, you're already beginning the work of integration, of reparenting, of making the unconscious conscious. So stay with me, because in the next part, as we're going deeper into the roots of your emotional suppression, into the reasons why your body and your mind have been carrying this for far too long. You ready? Let's go. Why your body carries the pain. Your mind forgot. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered, why is it that you can talk about your pain, you can explain it, you can even understand it logically, and yet it still hurts? Why, even after reading every book, watching every video, doing all the inner work you can, you still feel that tightness in your chest, that knot in your stomach, that sinking feeling in your heart when someone ignores you, disappoints you, or when life gets overwhelming. Carl Jung's work teaches us something that most people never realize until it's almost too late. The wound doesn't live in your mind. The wound lives in your body. It's in your nervous system, in your breath, in your heartbeat, in the way your muscles clench when someone raises their voice, even if they're not angry at you, in the way your shoulders tense the moment someone's disappointed, in the way your stomach flips when you feel misunderstood or unloved. This is not just psychology, this is biology. Your nervous system is not just remembering the event, it's remembering the emotional meaning you gave to it. I'm not safe. I don't matter. Love can be taken away. My feelings are dangerous. And every time something feels remotely similar, your body reacts, as if it's happening again, even when your mind tries to stay calm. Even when you say to yourself, "This isn't a big deal, I'm fine." Your body doesn't believe it, because healing doesn't happen just by changing your thoughts. It happens by meeting what lives beneath them. And here's the truth that no one tells you growing up. Suppressing emotions is not harmless. It's not maturity. It's not strength. It's a survival response that comes with a heavy cost. Carl Jung said, "So what you resist persists." And when it comes to emotions, especially the ones tied to your childhood, resisting them doesn't make them disappear. It makes them go underground, into your body, into your health, into the fatigue you can't explain, the burnout that never ends, the autoimmune issues that flare up whenever you betray your boundaries, the chronic tension, the insomnia, the overthinking that keeps you up at night. This is what happens when the nervous system stays trapped in fight, flight, or worse, freeze. Let me ask you, and be honest with yourself, have you ever noticed that after spending time with someone toxic, your body feels completely drained, like you've run a marathon? Or maybe you've had days where your body feels heavy, sluggish, like you're walking through wet cement, even though nothing bad happened that day. Or when you try to speak your truth, set a boundary, Even something simple like saying no. Your heart races, your chest tightens, and a voice inside says, "Don't do it. It's not safe." If you're nodding your head right now, you're not broken, your body is not betraying you, your body is protecting you. Based on an outdated survival script written in your childhood, you learned that keeping others happy meant keeping yourself safe. You learned that shrinking, silencing, and pleasing was the price you had to pay to be loved, to be accepted, to be safe. But let's get something very clear: that was never your fault. That was never a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of the emotional environment you grew up in, an environment that told you, not with words, but with actions, that your emotions were too much, that your needs were inconvenient, that your sadness, your anger, your sensitivity were somehow dangerous. So, you did what any intelligent, adaptive child does. You disconnected, not because you were weak, but because you were brilliant at surviving. But now you're not that child anymore, and the strategies that saved you back then are the same ones keeping you stuck now. And I know it feels terrifying, because if you drop the mask, if you stop people-pleasing, if you stop performing, what happens? Will they leave? Will you be alone? Will anyone actually stay if you show them the real you? These are not surface-level fears. These are nervous system-level fears, primal, instinctual. This is why you can't logic your way out of it, because it's not a mind problem, it's a safety problem. And here's the truth that can change everything. Safety isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. It starts when you pause, when you breathe, when you notice the tension in your body and say, "I hear you, I see you, I'm not abandoning you anymore." It starts when you stop abandoning yourself. Every time life gets hard, because the wounded child inside you is not waiting for perfection. She's not waiting for you to become someone else. She's just waiting for you to finally show up. So let me ask you, and I want you to answer this in the comments. What's the one thing you needed to hear as a child but no one ever said? Was it, "You are safe"? Was it, "I believe you"? Or maybe, "You are not too much"? Write it in the comments right now. Let's speak it into existence. Let's make this space a place where healing words are finally spoken, even if it's decades late, because the moment you give yourself what others didn't, you begin to rewire everything, not perfectly, not instantly, but moment by moment, breath by breath. You start coming home to yourself, the self you were, before the world told you to be small. And in the next part, we're going even deeper, into the exact reason why most people never heal, and the secret that Carl Jung uncovered about what it truly takes to become free. Stay with me. This is only the beginning. The hidden reason. Most people never truly heal. Let's be completely honest. Most people don't heal because healing isn't just about feeling better. It's about becoming someone you've never allowed yourself to be. And that is terrifying. See, Carl Jung taught that the greatest work of our lives is not becoming something new, but becoming who we really are. The self that was buried under years of survival, shame, and conditioning. And here's the painful truth that nobody talks about. Your nervous system doesn't crave happiness. It craves familiarity. Even if that familiarity is loneliness, even if that familiarity is anxiety, even if that familiarity is being invisible, or being the one who always gives but never receives. Because to the wounded child inside you, staying small feels safer than being free. Let that sink in. This is why people stay in relationships where they feel unseen. This is why they stay in jobs that drain their soul. This is why they abandon their own dreams, their own needs, their own truth. Not because they're lazy, not because they're weak, but because they've been conditioned from childhood to believe that their own needs are dangerous. Think about it. If as a child, every time you cried, you were told, "Stop being dramatic." Every time you were scared, they said, "You're fine, get over it." Every time you showed anger, you were punished or shamed. Then your brilliant nervous system learned something very quickly. It's safer to shut down. It's safer to smile when you want to cry. It's safer to say I'm fine when you're falling apart. It's safer to please others than risk being rejected for being yourself. But here's the cost of that safety: a life where you are constantly abandoning yourself. Carl Jung described this as the creation of the persona, the mask we wear to survive, the version of you that's acceptable, agreeable, likable. But behind the mask, there's grief that was never allowed to be felt, anger that was never safe to express, dreams that were buried so you wouldn't threaten anyone with your light. And the longer the mask stays on, the heavier it gets. This is why your body feels exhausted. This is why your mind spirals into overthinking. This is why your heart feels like it's carrying a grief you can't even name, because it is. So let's be clear. You are not tired because you're broken. You are tired because you've spent your entire life being someone you're not. Let that truth hit you. But here's the good news. And it's powerful. You can't heal what you keep pretending isn't there. And that is where the real work begins. Healing isn't about fixing yourself. It's about facing yourself. It's about looking into the shadow, the parts of you were told were too much, too needy, too sensitive, and realizing that these were never flaws. These were my humanity. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Read that again. This is why patterns repeat. This is why you end up with partners who mirror the same wounds, why you sabotage joy, why you abandon yourself the moment life asks you to be bigger, bolder, brighter. Because the unconscious isn't just thoughts. It's stored in your body, in the tension, in the avoidance, in the need to stay small so that no one gets upset. But here's the sacred truth. The moment you begin to witness those patterns, not with shame, not with judgment, but with compassion, something begins to shift. When you say, there's the part of me that gets scared when I speak my needs. There's the part of me that shuts down when I feel too seen. There's the little girl inside that still wonders if she's too much to be loved. You're no longer trapped in the pattern. You are witnessing it. And witnessing is the beginning of freedom. But let me be honest with you. This isn't an overnight process. This is a sacred unraveling, piece by piece, layer by layer, learning to sit with yourself in ways no one ever taught you. It's learning that rest is not laziness, that boundaries are not cruelty, that your anger is not a sin, it's a signal, that your tears are not weakness, they're release, it's learning. That being too much was never the problem. It was being too little of yourself that was killing you. So ask yourself this, and be brutally honest. What is the version of you that you've kept hidden? Just to survive? Who would you be if you were no longer afraid of being abandoned, misunderstood, unloved? Write it in the comments. Speak it. Let it be witnessed. Let it exist in the world. Because the truth is, you don't heal alone. We heal in community. We heal when our truth is no longer exiled inside of us. And when you start giving yourself the safety, the validation, the love that you always needed, your entire nervous system begins to exhale. You realize, I don't have to fight anymore. I don't have to hide anymore. I don't have to earn my place in this world. That is what Carl Jung called individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole, not perfect, whole. The work you're doing now, just by sitting here, listening, reflecting, is not small. It's revolutionary. It's the most radical act of self-love in a world that profits off your disconnection. And if you're here right now, reading this and feeling this, it means you're ready. You may not feel ready, but you are. Because the part of you that clicked on this video, that stayed through all of this, is the part of you that refuses to abandon yourself any longer. And in the conclusion, we're going to go even deeper into what it means to truly come home to yourself. So take a deep breath, let that settle, and I'll meet you right there, in the final chapter of this sacred journey. Coming home to yourself. Take a deep breath, because what I'm about to say might be the most important thing you've heard in a long time. You were never broken. You were never unworthy. You were never too much. You were simply unhealed. And healing, as Carl Jung said, isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming whole this entire time. all the anxiety, all the exhaustion. All the confusion. It wasn't proof that something was wrong with you. It was proof that something sacred inside you was screaming to be heard. You see, you weren't born to live in survival mode. You weren't born to betray your needs just to be accepted. You weren't born to carry the weight of everyone else while abandoning yourself, but somewhere along the way, life taught you that being seen was dangerous, that being vulnerable was risky, that being you was too much. So you did what every brilliant child does to survive. You adapted, you dimmed your light, you numbed your feelings. You became who the world needed you to be at the cost of losing yourself. And now, years later, the exhaustion isn't just physical, it's spiritual, because your soul was never meant to live in exile. But here's the most beautiful truth. It's not too late. The child within you, the one who never felt safe to speak, to cry, to say, I'm scared or I need help, she's still there, waiting, hoping, longing for you to finally come back. And today, you did. By being here, by listening, by reflecting. You've already taken the first step that most people spend a lifetime avoiding. You've stopped running from yourself. Let that land for a moment. You stopped. You turned inward. You listened. And you heard the voice that was never meant to be silenced. I matter. I am allowed to exist. I am allowed to feel, to rest, to be. This is the sacred work of becoming whole. Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who the world told you to be, not who you had to become to survive, but who you truly are underneath it all, and that version of you isn't broken. She's brilliant, she's resilient, she's powerful beyond measure. So let me ask you, what would it look like if you stopped negotiating your worth? What would shift in your life if you stopped apologizing for existing? What would become possible if you trusted that you are safe to be fully, unapologetically you? Write it in the comments. Let it be witnessed. Let your healing be spoken into existence. This is how it starts. This is how it shifts. This is how the old patterns dissolve. When you no longer whisper to yourself, something's wrong with me, and instead you begin to say, I am coming home to myself, to my truth, to my worth. And listen, this isn't the end of the journey, it's the beginning, a sacred return to the self. It won't always be easy. Some days will feel heavy. Old stories will try to pull you back. The nervous system will say, but is it safe? And that's okay, because now you have something you didn't have before. Awareness, and awareness changes everything. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you breathe through the spiral, every time you speak to yourself with kindness instead of criticism, you are rewiring your reality. You are becoming the safe place you never had. You are becoming the parent your inner child always needed. You are becoming the version of yourself that doesn't abandon herself for anything or anyone. And here's something powerful to remember. You don't heal in isolation. You heal in spaces where your truth is allowed. And that's what this space is, this community, this circle of souls, doing the sacred work of healing, of remembering, of rising. So, if you felt something stir inside you during this video, if this touched something raw and real, if this felt like coming home, and then I invite you to stay close. Subscribe, not because you have to, but because you deserve to stay connected to a space that reminds you you are not alone. You never were. And if you want to go even deeper on this journey, if you're ready to fully step into your healing, I've created a powerful guide called Reclaiming You, the Inner Child Healing Blueprint. It's not just words. It's a step-by-step roadmap for those who are ready to break the cycle, heal generational wounds, and become the version of themselves that's been waiting for far too long. It's written with love, with depth, with everything I wish someone had given me when I was lost. The link is right there in the description. Check it out. Your healing matters. And before we close, I want you to know this, and let it sink deep into your bones. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are exactly where your soul needs you to be. This is not the end. This is the beginning of the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself. So breathe. Let it settle, And write this in the comments as your declaration. I am coming home to myself because you are, and the world is waiting for the healed, radiant, fully alive version of you. I love you, I see you, and I'll meet you in the next chapter of this sacred journey.